Part 2. The ideal Japanese woman would walk 3 steps behind a man, but showing one's back to this girl wouldn't be a wise move. Contrary to her pure and untainted appearance, she was dark on the inside. No, it would be closer to reddish black, like clotted blood. Well, I suppose there could be a very slight possibility. If he got on his knees and offered up his body, soul, and hometown, I suppose I could forge him into a man who measures up to me. Kaguya imagined the affection Shirogane could barely conceal under his sharp gaze, as he confessed to her shyly. She had to work really hard to suppress a smile. Simply put, the situation was like this. If the other party took the initiative, there would be a chance. Certainly, there's no man who doesn't pine for me. It's probably just a matter of time. She laughed softly. It was a smile that befitted a girl her age who was in love. Both of them felt mutual affection for each other. If one of them confessed, then this love would bear fruit. A happy ending was right within their grasps. And both of them gradually realized this point. It was just a matter of time. That was right, the other party would confess sooner or later. They just needed to wait calmly without panicking. While they were engaging in this kind of thoughts, 8 months passed. Nothing of note happened during that period. No, something did change. The two of them went to school on a single bicycle, went home sharing one umbrella, went to watch fireworks together, joined the student council for a second term together, and drew portraits of each other in art class. Even the color of their underwear was asked. Thinking back, quite a lot did happen. But the two of them still didn't confess. As for the cause, it was because they were half-assed and popular at the same time. Humans were creatures who would fall for them even when left alone, and would come confess on their own volition. That was their views on love. No matter how compatible, or how much they yearned for each other, the two of them just waited for the other to confess, and their relationship didn't progress at all. The worst scenario would be for them to stay this way until they pass of old age. In the end, while they waited for the other to confess, their thinking shifted from, I wouldn't mind dating him, her, to, how do I make him, her confess? And recently, it even turned into, please, hurry up and confess to me, but it would be too insensitive to point that out. And so, the two of them acted like usual as they schemed to make the other confess, and walked towards the student council room. After Shirogane and Kaguya entered the student council room, they found someone was already there. Ah, President. Shinomiya-senpai too. Hello. The youth sitting on the couch was Yu Ishigami. He held the post of treasurer in the student council, and was a data analyzing expert. In Shuchiin Academy, only the student council president was elected. The other members of the student council were appointed on the president's discretion. Ishigami was an outstanding talent, and less than a year after he enrolled, he was scouted by the Shirogane to join the previous student council. And of course, he continued holding the post of treasurer in the current term too. His long bangs covered half of his face, and his habit of keeping his headphones on him made it felt like he was trying to avoid contact with the people around him. In actual fact, when he first joined the student council, he often brought his work home. Ishigami had grown since then. Recently, he had been able to perform his work in the student council room together with his colleagues. And now, when he saw Shirogane and the others, he would take off his headphones, and he even joined the cheer team to change himself. Compared to the stagnant relationship between Shirogane and Kaguya, Ishigami had made marked improvements. Only Ishigami is here. Shirogane and Kaguya came here after a meeting with the other clubs, so Shirogane thought the other members were already here. Aside from Ishigami, there were 2 other student council members. The two of them joined clubs or committees aside from the student council, and when Shirogane was wondering if they had gone over there, Ishigami shook his head to dismiss Shirogane's thoughts. Actually, Fujiwara-senpai and Ino were here, but they ran off after seeing this. Ishigami then took out a white envelope timidly. What is this, an application form for the student council? Please read the contents first. Shirogane had an ominous feeling. This was the smell of trouble. Ishigami was an outstanding talent, and he wouldn't let the busy Shirogane read work-related documents, and would explain it to Shirogane after summarizing the key points. When he opted to hand the letter to Shirogane directly, it was a sign that he couldn't decide on the situation. Shirogane opened the letter inside the envelope cautiously. "Why aren't you replying to me? I know you are a solitary person." "That's right, that's how well I know you, or rather, I'm the only one who understands you so much. Oh, how beautiful you are, the sight of you running on the track in preparation for the sports festival, and how you are glistening in sweat is so beautiful. Oh, how I wish to turn your beauty into eternity. When that time comes, I will go with you. The two of us will turn into eternity together, and your beauty will be preserved. That is the most important thing, but why are you turning me down? Why don't you understand me? If you continue to ignore me, I will turn you into eternity by my own hands. Even if you don't acknowledge me, I'm sure God will, because preserving your beauty forever is the right thing to do." After reading its content, Shirogane carefully folded the letter and put it back into the envelope. At this moment, Kaguya brought freshly brewed tea over, and Shirogane took the cup and proffered the envelope to her. As they exchanged the items in their hand, Kaguya asked nonchalantly, "What does it say?" "HMMP, just your usual, threatening letter." Shirogane sipped on his tea and said calmly. His face was like that of an elite that wouldn't be wavered by such trivial matters. Shirogane might look calm on the surface. How scary. Sigh. This is a pain. Saying I will turn you into eternity by my own hands already made this a criminal case, right? No, this is beyond the jurisdiction of the student council. It's too terrifying. But his heart wasn't calm at all, and was freezingly chilly. Shirogane turned pale and the light was gone from his eyes, as he tried to hide his trembling hands. To stop the tea in his cup from spilling, Shirogane finished it all in one gulp, and burned his mouth. But thanks to this pain, Shirogane regained a little of his spirit. After coughing a little to check the condition of his throat, Shirogane asked Ishigami. "But the culprit who wrote this threatening mail is kind of a klutz, and didn't even write the name of the addressee. Just who is this meant for?" "That's right. To investigate, Fujiwara-senpai and Ino." "Oh, about that." Just as Ishigami and Kaguya, who finished reading the letter, was about to say something, the door was opened with a bang. "Love sickness that even doctors can't treat, shall be cured by this famous detective. Love Detective Chika is here." Student Council Secretary Chika Fujiwara barged in with ragged breath. On her head was a familiar hunting cap she borrowed from the drama club. For unknown reasons, she insisted on wearing this hunting cap whenever she talks about love-related topics. Even though the student council was short on manpower, Fujiwara and Kaguya would occasionally help out the drama club on their request. They were happy to help, and Kaguya would occasionally wear cosplay too, so Shirogane had no complaints about that. Besides, there would be no one to this if he tried to interfere with Fujiwara's actions. However, Shirogane couldn't help asking this time. "Why are you wearing that? This isn't a love topic." "Che. You are too naive, Watson-kun." Fujiwara waved a finger cockily. Before Shirogane could retort, "Who are you calling Watson-kun? Don't make me your assistant," Fujiwara pointed strongly at him with her index finger. "Mi-chan called this a threatening letter, but it can't fool the eyes of this love detective. I can tell that this is a love letter addressed to a girl. It just feels a little bit dangerous. No, this is definitely a pure threatening mail." Shirogane retorted naturally, and Ishigami said hesitatingly. "It might seem threatening at a glance, but I think this should be a love letter. I don't like to say it, but I agree with Fujiwara-senpai. But Ino strongly insists that this is a threatening letter, so there are two different opinions here. That explains it." When Ishigami let Shirogane read the letter without saying anything, this was to allow Shirogane to make his own judgment without any outside influence. I see, that is a plausible explanation. The truth is always within the grasp of the love detective. Shirogane accepted their explanation and dismissed his own thoughts. He didn't think much of Fujiwara's take on things, but since Ishigami says so, then there was a good chance that this was a love letter. Shirogane thinks Ishigami was more observant than himself, so he wouldn't be so arrogant as to refute Ishigami's view without any basis. But Secretary Fujiwara, you mentioned this is a love letter addressed to a girl, how did you know that? The gender wasn't specified in the letter. That's because. Fujiwara tilted her head. Speaking of which, why did I think this is a love letter written by a boy to a girl? The handwriting looks like a boy, but that isn't enough to determine that, The love detective put a hand on her forehead and fell into deep thought. Seeing her like this, Kaguya raised her hand. Fujiwara-san, about that. Excuse me. Can someone please open the door for me? A call came from outside, and because the love addict had fallen into deep thought, Shirogane had no choice but to get up and open the door himself. He found Miko Ino standing outside. Her petite figure was struggling with a heavy box, and there was sweat on her brows. Shirogane was confused, as there wasn't any arrangements to move something so heavy today. Hey, what are these? Documents to verify handwriting. In order to find out who wrote the threatening letter, I borrowed these survey forms from the sports festival committee. We can match the handwriting against the entire student body. Hey, then you can just ask Ishigami or me to go. The sports festival committee is pretty far, it must have been tough for you. That won't do, since no one has the same opinion as me, sigh, really now. Ishigami aside, even Fujiwara-senpai thinks this is a love letter. No matter how I see it, it's a threatening mail. Ino said in a serious tone, and concluded without any room for negotiation. Regrettably, she was out of breath mid-sentence. For Ino, who was lacking in physical endurance, bringing the survey forms for the entire student body was strenuous work. If it was for the sake of carrying out her conviction, she would do all that without any word of complaint. That was the style of Miko Ino. She competed with Shirogane for the seat of student council president, and now held the post of auditor within the student council, and was everyone's colleague. Do you plan to find the culprit by matching the handwritings one by one? Even if all the members of the student council did this together, who knows how many days it will take? There is no need to trouble everyone, I can do this by myself. Matching handwritings isn't something normal people can do, but the one who wrote this has a distinct handwriting style. For example, the word go was written in one stroke, so I can find the culprit efficiently with this clue. Don't worry, I will also do my student council and morals committee duties too. Ino said with determination. Her firm eyes didn't show any sign of detest towards the hard work involved. She was really planning to find the culprit alone. Unfortunately, as if she was pouring cold water over Ino. Please listen. It was rare seeing Kaguya cut her off with a troubled face. This letter is addressed to me. I have an idea who wrote it. Shirogane and Ino opened their eyes wide. Kaguya looked troubled, but chose to continue. In the past, I received a love letter, and discussed this with the president and Fujiwara-san. This is from the same person. Oh, that did happen. Shirogane started thinking back. That was before summer vacation. Kaguya said she received a love letter, and declared she would date that person. A lot of things happened, and in the end Fujiwara stopped Kaguya in tears. Kaguya didn't bring this up again, so Shirogane thought that was the end of this matter. Shirogane's train of thought was disrupted by a high-pitched shout. Then, what about the handwriting verification? I brought these all the way here. With her eyes on the pile of questionnaires, Ino's scream echoed in the student council room. In the end, Ishigami sent the questionnaires back.